I had been waiting for my birthday for weeks. To me, it wasn't just another day, it was a moment to feel seen, to feel celebrated, to believe that maybe, just maybe, the people I cared about most also cared about me. My friends had promised to come, the decorations were perfect, and I had chosen a dress that made me feel almost grown up, confident, even if deep inside I still struggled with insecurities that I tried so hard to hide. But above all, I was waiting for him. My boyfriend, the one who had, at least I thought, chosen me out of all the others. I loved the way he smiled, the way he could make even the most ordinary conversation feel special. I wanted my birthday to be the night we shared a moment I would remember forever. The party began in a blur of lights, laughter, and music. People filled the room with energy, clinking glasses, taking pictures, and teasing me about finally being older. I laughed along, but in truth I was watching the door, my eyes scanning every new arrival. When he finally walked in, my heart jumped. He looked confident, relaxed, like someone who belonged everywhere. He kissed me quickly on the cheek, wished me a happy birthday, and blended seamlessly into the group, joking with friends as though he had been there all along. For a while it was everything I had hoped for. We danced, we laughed, I opened gifts while people clapped and teased. I thought, this is it, this is my perfect night. But then, as the evening stretched on, something shifted. Someone suggested telling funny or embarrassing stories. At first, it was light-hearted. One friend talked about spilling food in front of her crush, another about tripping down the school stairs. We all laughed. The atmosphere was playful, safe. And then he stood up. "I've got one," he said, glancing at me with that mischievous grin of his. The room quieted, waiting. "You guys might find this interesting. It's about her." He pointed at me. Everyone turned. My smile froze, but I forced a laugh. "Oh no, what are you going to say?" He leaned casually against the wall, his eyes glittering as though he held a secret too good not to share. And then he said the words that cracked me open. "She stuffs cotton in her bra, to look older, to seem like she's more developed. Guess birthdays aren't the only thing she's been faking." For a moment, I didn't even breathe. The room erupted in laughter, laughter that rang in my ears like breaking glass. People whispered, nudged each other, some even stared at my chest like they could see through me. I felt my face burning, my hands went cold, my whole body wanted to disappear, to sink through the floor. He was still smiling, proud of himself, as though he had told the joke of the century. And maybe for them it was funny, but for me, it was my deepest secret, the thing I had hidden so carefully because I was ashamed, because I wanted so badly to belong. I ran to the bathroom. I don't remember how I got there, just that suddenly I was staring at myself in the mirror, tears streaming down my face, mascara smudging. I wanted to tear off the dress, to rip apart the stupid cotton that betrayed me, to scream. But no sound came out, just the echo of their laughter replaying in my head, over and over. I stayed there for what felt like forever, listening to the muffled music outside, wishing I could rewind time, wishing I had never let him into my life. When I finally came back, the party was still alive, but something in me was dead. People avoided my eyes, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of awkwardness. He came over and tried to touch my arm, pretending it had all been a joke, but I pulled away. The rest of the night was a blur. I smiled when I had to, but inside I was shattered. That was supposed to be my day, my moment. Instead, he had stolen it and left me with the worst humiliation of my life. That night, when everyone was gone and the lights were out, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My chest ached as if my heart had been physically torn. I thought about how easily he had exposed me, how quickly he had turned something so private into entertainment. And I knew, even as I cried myself to sleep, that I would never forget the sound of their laughter. But beneath the pain, something else stirred. A flicker of something darker, stronger. It whispered that I couldn't let this be the end of my story. That one day, somehow, he would feel what I had felt. And that thought kept me awake long into the night. The weeks after my birthday felt like walking through a shadow. Every time I passed someone from that night, I wondered if they were still laughing behind my back, if the image of me stuffing cotton into my bra was still fresh in their minds. My confidence had been gutted. I stopped wearing the clothes I used to like, avoided mirrors, and even thought twice before speaking up in conversations. And him. He acted like nothing had happened, as if humiliating me in front of everyone had been a harmless joke, something I should just get over. He still texted me, still tried to sit close, still expected me to smile and laugh at his stories. He didn't even realize, or maybe he didn't care, how much he had destroyed me that night. But I remembered the promise I made to myself as I lay awake in bed. He would know what it felt like. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. A month later, his company hosted a corporate party. He begged me to come, insisting it would be fun, that I'd get to meet his colleagues, that it would be our night out. At first, I wanted to refuse. Why should I show my face with him again? But then something clicked inside me. Maybe this was the moment I'd been waiting for. So I agreed. The evening of the party, I stood in front of the mirror for a long time. I wore a sleek black dress, one that hugged my figure in all the right places. Not to hide, not to pretend, but to show that I was done being small. My hair fell in soft waves, my lips painted in bold red. When I looked at myself, I didn't see the broken girl from my birthday. I saw someone who was ready. The venue was luxurious, filled with glittering lights and the buzz of conversation. His colleagues, polished and professional, greeted me politely. He held my hand, proud to have me on his arm, as though parading me around erased what he'd done, but I didn't forget. As the night went on, the atmosphere grew more relaxed. Drinks flowed, laughter rose, and conversations grew louder. At some point, someone suggested sharing funny stories again. Apparently, this was a habit of his crowd. My heart raced. This was my chance. I felt a surge of fear. What if it backfired? What if they didn't laugh? But then I remembered the bathroom mirror, the burning shame, the echo of laughter at my expense. And suddenly I knew I had to do it. I stood up, my glass in hand. "I've got one," I said, my voice steady though my hands trembled slightly. The room quieted. All eyes turned to me. I glanced at him. He looked curious, maybe even excited, expecting me to make a fool of myself. "This one's about him," I said, pointing at him. A ripple of anticipation went through the crowd. He laughed, shrugging, pretending not to care. "All right, let's hear it," he said. I smiled sweetly, but my voice carried steel. "You all see him as confident, brave, the guy who always takes charge, right? But what you don't know is that he's terrified of the dark. And I don't mean a little nervous, I mean genuinely, childishly afraid." The room chuckled, a few people whispering. I continued. "One night, we were out walking late, just the two of us. It was quiet, a little eerie. Suddenly there was this sound, like the low growl of some wild animal. I froze. I thought we'd face it together. But do you know what he did?" I paused, letting the suspense build. He bolted, ran straight home, left me standing there, alone, in the middle of the night, with my heart pounding. The room erupted. Some laughed openly, others covered their mouths in shock. His face turned pale, then red. He tried to laugh it off, but the sound caught in his throat. I pressed on, softly but firmly. "So maybe next time you see him trying to act fearless, just remember, sometimes the bravest-looking people are the first to run." The laughter was louder this time, echoing off the walls. But this time, it wasn't me they were laughing at. It was him. He stared at me, disbelief in his eyes, his jaw tight. I could almost hear the thought in his head, "How could you?" But I only lifted my glass, took a sip, and sat down as though nothing had happened. For the rest of the evening, he barely spoke. His colleagues teased him gently, some not so gently. The aura of invincibility he always carried had cracked, and I had been the one to do it. And me, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming myself, proving that I wasn't weak, that I could stand up and strike back when it mattered. When the night ended, he tried to speak to me outside, his voice sharp with anger. "You embarrassed me, in front of everyone. You made me look like a fool." I met his eyes, my own calm and steady. "Now you know how it feels." He sputtered, searching for words, but I didn't wait. I turned and walked away, the cool night air filling my lungs like freedom. That was the last time I ever went anywhere with him. In the days that followed, I noticed something incredible. I no longer felt the same shame about my birthday. The memory still hurt, yes, but it was dulled, almost distant. Because I had faced him, I had taken back the power he stole from me. And for the first time in a long while, I felt strong. I realized that no one, not him, not anyone, had the right to define me with their laughter or their cruelty. I learned that night that even the deepest humiliation can be turned into strength if you're brave enough to fight back. And as I moved forward, I carried not just the memory of my pain, but the knowledge that I had survived it, and that survival had made me unbreakable.